See? Fixed it.
All right, we good?
Mm-hmm.
Go live.
Hey, hello. It is the Go Birds podcast presented by the Bet Park Sportsbook and Casino app. Eliot Shorr-Parks, James Seltzer with you.
What up?
Hey, dude, what up, buddy? What is it up? It's like the Eagles lost 10 games in a row. I didn't know the season was over, and it's nice to know.
It's a shame.
And what a fun run it was, but
was it?
They lost to the Niners, so the season's over, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well,
sorry. Pack it up. We're done. It's been a nice run, but they
Yeah.
obviously can never beat the Niners, and they lost so bad they're going to lose the rest of their games. That's what it sounded like this week. Like, I just think it's like crazy how much people are reacting to one game in a spot that was about as tough a spot for a team as you can have. Like, it makes no sense to me.
I think.
Did we not watch the rest of the season?
Yeah. So
Hello.
I what's up? You know what sucks, by the way? Splinters.
Sure.
Yeah, I have a splinter right now. It's very.
a pretty good take.
I was planning on
Splinters
starting
are
the pod.
super annoying.
Yeah, I was planning on starting the pod with that, and then you just kind of.
Well, I got annoyed.
It's like a rocket
I'm annoyed.
ship.
I've been waiting to do
Well,
this.
okay, all right. So give me 10 seconds, okay?
About splinters? Go ahead.
No, not about
They're annoying. I agree.
Like, all right. So since we recorded on Sunday, I will say that the game, and Jason Kelsey said this morning. Actually, one of the things I agreed with him on. The loss, I think, like, when you rewatch it and you look at the context of everything, was not as bad as the score indicates. I mean, they were down 8 points with 5 minutes to go in the third.
I know.
Okay, so agree. Like, I do not believe this is, I haven't said, like, the sky's not falling, the season's not over, those things, all that's true. I do think you are diminishing the loss a little bit. Like, it was a big loss. It was. Like, they basically have to win out to get the 1 seed, or the Niners have to drop one.
Like, I said 5-1 coming into this stretch. I thought it would be the Buffalo game because of the tough spot.
Right.
It turned out it was the Niners game. Like,
yeah.
It hasn't changed anything I believe in.
Well, but what the loss changes their chance of getting the 1 seed. And I also think this is probably where a lot of your confidence comes from, is you think they're going to beat Dallas. So, like,
I absolutely.
I know you do. So if they go to Dallas and beat the Cowboys, that changes a lot of things. It does. Like, it puts them back on the winning track, like, whatever. But I think where you're hearing the panic from, both probably from the fans and me somewhat, although for what it's worth, I defended the Eagles for an hour on the radio yesterday hard. I still think there's a strong argument for the Eagles as the better team than the Niners. Like, it was one game.
You're less panicked than a lot of people.
Yeah. But like, this Dallas game is massive, because if they lose the Dallas game, there's a real chance they're not the 1 seed.
There is. Now, I think they're going to win the NFCs no matter what. I mean, you might
probably,
not, but like, when they lose, I mean, Dallas, the rest of Dallas' schedule is hellacious. I mean, Dallas has Buffalo, Miami, someone else really good on their schedule.
Is Buffalo on the road?
I'm not sure. Here, we can pull up Dallas' schedule real quick. But Dallas' schedule, like,
it's tough. This is their gauntlet. This is their gauntlet.
Exactly. So that's important to remember. All right, so Dallas has left after the Eagles. The last 4 games of the season for Dallas are Buffalo, Miami, Detroit, Washington.
So what's the home away?
So they are at Buffalo, at Miami, home versus Detroit, at Washington. So 3 of the 4 on the road.
Yeah.
2 of which are
that last
at
Washington
Buffalo, at
game
Miami.
isn't super easy either. I feel like they always struggle here.
Yeah. So like, I think, like, I agree with your point. If the Eagles lose to Dallas, they're going to need Baltimore or someone unexpected like the Rams or Seattle to beat the Niners to help them out, which is frustrating. I wouldn't be too concerned about the division. Look, anything's concerning if they lose to Dallas. You could say that it's more concerning. But I think with Seattle Giants, Arizona Giants, I think the Eagles will do better in those 4 games than the Dallas will in Buffalo, Miami, Detroit, and Washington.
I agree with that. But
the Niners thing's a separate discussion. Yeah.
So back to the Niners things really quickly. I get your point that, like, the sky is not falling. Like, and people are, of course, of course people are reacting. Like, it's what we do. Like, it's what we do in Philadelphia. It's what we do on this pod. I love the roller coaster. Like, I say this in training camp. I love practice things. I love week-to-week things. You'll never catch me shaming somebody for, like, overreacting. But I do understand it. I mean, that was like the worst thing that could have happened. Like, short of Jalen getting hurt. Like, I think the game was closer. And look, there are probably 4 or 5 plays that if they go differently, the Eagles maybe win that game. Like, if they score on the first 2 possessions.
Moreau stops Sam Debo.
Yeah,
there's multiple.
Yeah, or like, and
or the Josh Sweat penalty. Like, there's
the Josh Sweat penalty, the Quez Watkins penalty. Mm-hmm. Like, Moreau, for what it's worth, like, Reed Blankenship was held on that play. So they're
big time,
right?
Like a really big missile.
So while the score was 42-19, I think it was closer than that. But regardless, like, they lost the game in bad fashion. And you've heard players say that. I completely understand why fans are panicking. Because while me and you have always been on the train of, like, they're 5-0, it doesn't matter. They're 9-1, it doesn't matter. They're 10-1, it doesn't matter. Like, once they lose like that, it is kind of an eye-opening loss where all of a sudden, and I've done this week, like, you take a step back, and there are a lot of concerning elements of this team. Like, I still think they are a top whatever team in the NFL, top 3, top 2. I don't think they're number 1 anymore just because the Niners, I think, have earned that at this point. They've earned the number 1 seed. But, like, you look at the defensive stats, and I'm not a defensive guy, but, like, the defensive stats are really bad, like, really bad. The pass protection stats are not great. Like, when you look at the Eagles as a whole, I think they have an argument absolutely to be a top 5 team, top 3 team. This is just the first time in a long time where I don't think they have the best argument to be the best team. And I think that's the panic you kind of hear from people. And for what it's worth, like, the Niners are a team that are in the way.
Yeah,
so
they're good.
Yeah.
But again, look, I think that we are overreacting to one loss is my point, though. Like, we can't say these things about Jalen and about Nick and about how they've lost now, 3 games in their last 28 games or whatever, and be like, be that concerned about a loss again when there are mitigating factors. Even Jason Kelce talked about it. He's like, our defense was dead tired. He's like, our defense is all about pass rush. He's like, those guys were tired. They played he even said it. He's like, he went through the snaps. Like, Jalen Carter played a lot of snaps. Jordan Davis played a lot of snaps. Like, so I think that is a real thing. Like, that is, I think the number one reason the Eagles lost the game was the spot that they were in. Now, they got beat, and the Niners played great, and the Niners deserve credit for coming in and being motivated and winning that game, which they were, and they were good, and they had 10 days rest, and that all that matters. The next time they face each other, it will not be that type of rest discrepancy.
It'll be the same
between the two teams. It'll be the same
unless they play in the second round.
One way or the other. If the Eagles do get the 1 seed, then they'll have an extra week of rest before the playoffs, or the Niners will, or whatever. But it'll be close enough. It'll be Sunday to Sunday, Saturday to Sunday, whatever, that kind of stuff. So I mean, that's part of it. But like, this happens to great teams. Like, I looked up. Just for fun.
Well, while you pull it up, the best example
was the Niners and the Eagles.
No, did you hear Ike Reese told the story this week? The 2004 Eagles when they got smoked by Pittsburgh.
That's another great one.
I know that was on the road.
Well, there's a bunch of these, but they didn't even win the Super Bowl. Well, how about the Niners when the Eagles beat them 40-8? That Niners team went on and won the Super Bowl. The Eagles went out to San Francisco with Coy Detmer and beat them 40-8. That team went to win the Super Bowl, but I looked it up. The worst
The Niners
loss,
won the Super Bowl that year?
Yeah, they were. That was the amazing team, 94 or whatever it was.
Well, that wasn't Coy Detmer then.
Or I'm sorry.
I was going to say.
I'm thinking of it. Wait, no. Yeah, it was. I'm sorry.
Coy wasn't 94. Coy was the early 2000s.
Coy was the early 2000s. I'm thinking of a different. That was definitely.
I was going to say, because the Niners haven't won a Super Bowl.
Niners went in 96.
Yeah. Regardless, to your point. Regardless, like, look, teams lose games. Like, it's not the end of the world.
Every Super Bowl, like, I mean, look, the Rams who won the Super Bowl a few years ago, they lost a game 31-10 to the Niners. The Bucks, the year they won the Super Bowl, they lost 38-3 to the Saints. I looked it up. The point is, like, the Patriots, the 2018 Patriots who won the Super Bowl, lost 34-10 to the Titans. Like, the Eagles lost 24-10 to that Seattle team the year they won the Super Bowl. The Patriots, 2016, won the Super Bowl. Lost 16-0 to the Bills one game. Like, the Chiefs the year before that, or the Broncos won the Super Bowl the year before that, 29-13. Like, the point is that for the Patriots won the Super Bowl in 2014. They lost 41-14 to the Chiefs one week. Like, the point is that this happens all the time. Teams have bad losses and bounce back.
I agree. Now, I'd be curious, out of that list, how many teams lost to teams that they're projected to then play in the playoffs. I think that matters from a fan reaction standpoint.
Well, we know the Rams and Niners did. The Rams lost 31-10 to the Niners, and that was the Niners team that they played in the playoffs.
It was? Okay.
I don't remember. The Super Bowl, yeah. Remember that?
What year was this?
2021.
Oh, okay, my bad. Yeah. So, regardless, like, I get your point, and, like, I admire, and you've had a good read on the team all year. So, like, I am not, like, sitting here and being like, you're wrong. I just think you're not looking at the negatives of that loss enough. Like, there's a chance that the Niners are just like a really, really bad matchup for the Eagles.
It could be.
And that's what I've been thinking a lot. So I think Sunday was the Eagles.
Let's not forget also no Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, for sure.
Super. We can't do the whole, the Niners only lost.
I agree.
Trent Williams, but then not say the same thing for Dallas Goedert.
Now, no Dallas Goedert matters. I think Sunday was the Niners at their best and the Eagles at like close to their worst.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what we saw.
That's a great way to put it.
But here's the question.
You might get the Niners at their best. I get it.
But the question I have is, like, was that because of mitigating factors, or was it because this Niners team is maybe a tougher matchup for the Eagles than I thought?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And again, like, to the Niners, there's no bigger game that they circled that game last January. I mean, ever since.
Yeah, but the Eagles should have been up for it.
The Eagles,
too.
they were, but I'm saying my point is not that. I'm saying that in terms of the discrepancy in tiredness, all type of stuff, it's not like you were just facing a regular team. Right. You were facing a team that came in, and this is the game of the season for them. Like, you were facing a team that you got their, like, we talked all year about the Eagles getting their best shot of every team, and I didn't believe that earlier. I think that's true. I really do think that is something now.
Well, they've also just played great teams.
And teams get up to play for them. I do think that happens, but this is the ultimate. Like, no team was ever more up coming in here than the Niners for that game. Like, it just is what it is. So I think you got the best shot from them, their most motivated shot. Yeah. And they came in rested and ready to roll, and they kicked our asses. Like,
I mean, I do think the Eagles are the more motivated team next game.
Absolutely. I think it plays towards
now,
them.
It'll be the playoffs, so, like, obviously both teams will be motivated and rested or whatever. But, yeah. No, I just, like...
And again, I to your initial point about, look, I'm not trying, like, they got their asses beat. There's no other way to say it. The Niners were easily a better football team. I just am not going to look at that game and make these grand sweeping proclamations off one game when it's a 10-1 team. And I know you're saying there are other things in other games to be concerned about, and I get it. But I can't overreact. I think it's crazy.
But I don't
this team is think we can't be on this pod talking about how consistently good these guys are, how consistently good this team is, and they lose one game badly, which, by the way, again, was close until late in the third quarter, and then it got away from them, right?
Yes, but
especially as they get more and more tired as the game goes on and more beat up, whatever.
But I think the way you're saying one game is a little bit how people say, like, Jalen had one bad play in the Super Bowl. Like, yes, it is one.
I think that's true,
it's not
too.
just. But
I say that way. I think Jalen had one.
No, I know,
in the Super Bowl.
but I think that's underselling. Like, if they would have gotten smoked by Washington or some other team, then I get your point. I don't think
they lose as bad to Washington. The point is, if it's Washington coming in here motivated, I think they might have lost the game.
No, but I think you're underestimating.
The Niners are a great team.
Yes, but then
I think you were shocked by it because you didn't realize how good the Niners were.
No, I'm saying why. Like, you're saying people are overreacting. Forget my opinion in this. You talk to callers all day. You've talked to them. What's today? Wednesday. So 12 hours this week. You've talked to callers, and you feel like people are overreacting. I feel
some
right?
aren't.
Some are. But I think that's because it's the Niners. Like, so it's not just one game. It's that they got blown out by the Niners.
Right. Again, because the Niners are really freaking good.
Yes, but that's the concern because I think most people
I always thought the Niners.
No,
were
I know,
good.
but like this pod, me included, and most people have always kind of been like the Eagles are the best team. Point blank. Period. We're being disrespected. They shouldn't be underdogs, right? That's something we all thought. Like, they're the best team. Like, the ESPN FPI thing's ridiculous. All those things. Like, and I think what Sunday did was it opened the door to, like, maybe we're wrong about those things. Doesn't mean the Eagles aren't the best team. It doesn't mean they shouldn't. Like, but when you watch that happen, and again, the further I get away from the game, it wasn't as bad of a loss as the score indicates. But when you lose that game in that fashion with that score, it is going to shake the confidence.
I get it. But what have I taught? I've had 3 words.
But I think it's okay to shake the confidence.
I agree, but what have I said all year with my 3 words? The ebb and flow of the NFL, right? Ebb and flow. How many times? I've probably said it 100 times on the pod this year. The ebb and flow of the NFL. Like, this is what happens. Like, again, I didn't think the Eagles were going to go 16-1, and I know it's the Niners, and that's what people are frustrated about and whatever, but I just think I get it. It is a bad loss in a spot where you expected them to play better, and that's frustrating. I just think that's what it is. Like, I don't think we need to look at it and be like, oh, like, the sky's falling, which I'm not saying you are, but I think a lot of people have been. We had a lot of people calling up. Our topic today was are we overrating? Like, did we go too far with the reaction? Because again, people were really far, and we had a couple people call and say we're not going far enough. The Eagles are bad. They're a bad team. They got all kinds of like Chuck from Mount Airy called up yesterday and said Nick Sirianni's a horrible coach.
I know. Well, he just hates Nick.
He said, "quote unquote," the Eagles can never win the Super Bowl with Nick Sirianni. They almost did.
I know. But Chuck hates Nick. Like,
but that's fine. But again, it's the tenor of the conversation.
Right. No,
it's like all of a sudden everything we saw for 11 weeks is thrown out the window, and it's this one game that we're reacting to, and I think that's unfair.
But like sometimes those things do happen. I don't think this is going to happen, but like you bring up examples from the past. Like I'll use the 2004 Eagles. 2004 Eagles were 7-0, whatever it was, 8-0. They go to Pittsburgh, they get absolutely smacked.
And then they kept
being great. Go to Dallas the next week. They have the huge game. T.O. steps on the star.
They were great until the last 2 games, and they didn't try.
And I don't think this is going to happen, but like the Steelers were 10-1, and then they fell apart. Like there are times where things do fall apart. Sure. And so while my concern, while I don't think it matters that they've been blowing teams out a ton, I think where also the panic come from is there's a perception that the Eagles are kind of like holding this together by a string, right? Like that they're winning each week, but they're winning really close. They're not dominant. And so then when you see a loss like that, I think people feel like the bubble burst, like the sky is falling, and that now this is kind of like
I just think that's unfair, though.
I don't know if it's fair or not. I think that the Eagles, to your point, have earned the benefit of the doubt.
I'm saying they've earned the benefit of the doubt.
But you can get the benefit of the doubt and still be in a lot of trouble. And to your point about the ebbs and flows, my concern, and I guess we'll shift to Dallas a little, but like, I don't think the Eagles are playing great football right now. Like, Buffalo, Jalen was super impressive, but like they were bad in the first half. The defense was not good in that game. The offense wasn't great against Kansas City. The defense was horrendous against San Francisco. The offense was really bad against San Francisco. It doesn't feel like the Eagles are clicking on all cylinders right now, and it feels to me like the Niners definitely are, and I think Dallas is too. So my concern is I need to see the Eagles like get it together. Like they've earned the 10 wins. They've earned the number 1 seed. I'm not taking anything from that. I think there's an argument again. I think they still could be listed as a better team than the Niners. But to your point about ebbs and flows, the Eagles right now, in my opinion, are playing like the 3rd best team in the NFC. Now, that's just opinion. It doesn't matter. But that is, I think, where the concern is, too, is that when people look at the NFC in the top, they don't feel like the Eagles are playing as good as those two teams.
I get it, but they're also playing so much tougher competition. Like, Dallas is playing nobody. Like, so, yeah, Dallas is going to look good.
Right.
And by the way, Dallas did give up 35 points to Seattle and should have lost that game. Like,
it was a close one.
It was and Gino was an idiot. Like, they could have won that game, Seattle.
Right.
And they gave 35 points. Their defense got gashed.
Yeah.
Like, the Eagles have been playing, Kansas City and San Francisco, and like they have played a tougher stretch here, and that's partially why it has looked. They're playing tougher competition, and I do think the Goddard thing matters. I think Goddard is such an important part of this offense, especially for Jalen and a comfort blanket and all that stuff. But look, I get your point. I understand the Eagles have not looked like juggernauts through this whole stretch here, but I think part of it is wear and tear. I think it's just a tough stretch to get through. We talked about it being a gauntlet. It is a gauntlet.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, and I've said this multiple times, like, ultimately, I don't care if the Eagles are playing their best football now. I don't want them to play their best football now. I want them to play their best football a month from now. And that's what happens every year. There's a team that kind of puts it together. It's like, oh, look, they're the best team right now. Like, I don't want to be the best team on December 6th. I want to be the best team on January 6th and on February 6th.
And I get that, and I think the truth about sports in general is like...
Yeah, we just saw the Diamondbacks go to the World Series.
Right, exactly. Like
it's what happens.
It just literally matters how you play in the playoffs.
The Giants won 2 Super Bowls. They were 9-7 both times, and they won 2 Super Bowls.
Right, and not to turn this into a clap your hands pod, but like that's my frustration with the Sixers is they are a great team that wins all the time. They've just it is what it is. But regardless,
don't do it.
So I get your point that all that's really going to matter is how the Eagles play on 3 Sundays once our season ends, or maybe 4, right? But like. That's really all that's going to matter. But if you're someone that's listening to this pod, like a real one auto downloader, and you left that game feeling like, oh my God, like we're in trouble, I don't blame you for that. Like I understand watching this team play is not like a juggernaut. Now the schedule is definitely part of it for sure. But like last year, it just felt like they were better. And I think and look, they could be better this year. Tougher opponents, like
and I do think
bullseye on their back.
I think the bullseye thing matters. Like I think you're getting every team's best effort each week. Like people want to bring it against you, and maybe that partially it's the way the Eagles go about their business, the Sirianni thing, the tush push. Like they are a team that people want to beat.
But I also just don't think they're playing that well right now. They're just not. Like Jalen was not good against the Niners, right? The defense obviously has been horrendous a few weeks in a row. I'm starting to get a little concerned about the offensive line. Like I still think they have a good /
the running game. They were good in pass protection for the most part.
Some of and I know these are just stats, and I think they passed the eye test. But man, some of the stats when it comes to protecting Jalen.
Well, I think
it's a combination.
Been good
like Jalen holds on to the ball.
I think they've not been good at times. I thought in the San Francisco game they were good.
They were good early on.
I want to get to the run the ball thing quickly. All right, let's get to the run the ball thing, and then we'll get to Shaq Leonard. We'll get to Dallas. We've got a lot going on this week. By the way, coming up later, before final thought, it's not my final thought, but I have a Go Birds Radio shocking announcement.
Do I know this?
No. This is something that I just found out.
Wow.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
If you're a real one, you'll know this caller, and you'll be shocked to find something.
And they think I'll know this, obviously?
You don't know this.
No, I'm saying you think I'll know the caller, right?
Everyone. If you listen to the show, he's called, he doesn't call recently as much, but he's a long time Go Birds caller.
I feel like I've been thinking about CJ this week.
It's CJ. Okay, right. So it's something about CJ in Texas.
And that was a complete guess, by the way.
I can't believe you just pulled that.
Well, because I was thinking
Texas.
It's Texas, and he's in call in a while.
Yeah. But good call. Yeah. Shocking announcement about CJ.
Okay, I can't wait.
It's not bad at all. It's just shocking.
All right.
So that's coming up later. But let's get to the run the ball thing. Then we'll get to Shaq. Then we'll get to the Dallas game. because the run the ball thing out today, we're back.
Yeah.
Fans outside the Novacare with the run the ball sign.
I love it.
A longtime classic.
Yeah.
You a big run the ball guy.
Always have been, always
Yes.
will be.
So I do think it's an issue. I do think that if I'm looking at the Eagles right now and I'm saying what is the single thing that I think is the biggest issue offensively for this team, it's their struggles running the ball. And I don't think it's been, they haven't run it enough until this last game. I do think 9 design runs in this last game was not enough. Like, it just wasn't. I know that the runs have not been working, and that's the bigger issue, is that they've not been good at running the ball.
the biggest issue.
That is. But at the same time, you have to keep doing it. Like, John Ritchie talked a ton about this today on the air. Ross Tucker talked about it. Like, these teams are giving them too deep safety looks. Like, the only way you're going to get out of that look is by showing them you can run the ball. And running it 9 times, I know if it doesn't work on 9 tries, like, that's not enough of trying to run the ball. It's just not.
I don't know, man.
Be more creative with the run game. Run Jalen. Jalen didn't have one run in that football game. Not one. Like, where did all the design runs go? Like, they ran them 17 times in the Bills game. No, I'm sorry. This is important. They need to be better at running the ball. I know you hate this.
No, I agree.
They need to be better at running the football, and they need to commit to it a little more.
So I agree they need to be better at it. So they're 19th in the league in yards per carry. And I'm sure that gets impacted a little bit by like the tush pushes and, whatever. But they're 19th in the league in yards per carry. This is a team that we thought for last few years was the best running team in the
football,
NFL, right?
Easily. We thought they were like the go-to run team.
The best one. So they're definitely not running the ball well. I think we all need to accept, like, it's part of it is the running backs too. Like I know
no doubt.
people love Swift
no
and he
doubt.
can be great on certain plays,
No
and at times he looks like he's like a top 5 running back in the NFL. I don't think they have great running backs. That's part of it.
I agree with that.
As to running Jalen more, I guess, like, I just don't think that's the answer, but whatever, like, fine. They're just not good at doing it. And so I'm trying to put myself in Sirianni and Brian Johnson's shoes, right? You're on the sideline. The game is falling apart.
I get it. It's not working. You're like, let's do it. But again, it's not like that. But again, you're not going to be able to throw the ball effectively if the defense knows you're going to throw it every time. That's the situation they're in.
Well, I mostly agree with that. And I thought Richie's point about like the 2 deep safeties, I get that, right? I thought it was a good stat by him that the Eagles have faced more 2 deep safeties than any other team besides Miami. And keep in mind, Miami has Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill, who is literally a coverage buster.
Yes, for sure. Now the Eagles have great
receivers. Jalen Waddle, who's also
yes. Now the Eagles have great receivers too.
They do, but they
and Quez is back now.
But they don't have speed like that.
Well,
like it's
Quez.
Mm-hmm. Yep, good call. You're right. I'm sorry. He's just like Tyreek Hill.
Hey, it's what they say, right?
You're right. Good point.
No, but here's my thing. They're not good at running the ball. They're just not. Like, they haven't been good at it all year. And if we're like, well, Cam Jurgens was gone. Like, they're not good at running the ball. For whatever reason, they can't do it this year, right? I do think missing Goddard hurts them. Like, he is a great run blocking tight end. Here's one thing too. This is like a thing I've kind of picked up from doing the Players Lounge. And we have a lot of offensive linemen. We have Dickerson. We have Mailata. I really think communication has been an issue this year for the offensive line. Like, one thing Dickerson talks about a lot, and Mailata's talked about it, is like, I just think they're not on the same page. And I think that's impacting their running game as well. And I don't know.
Look, maybe Isaac Samala was a little more
not to toot my own horn. I did say I thought he was the most
really
important free agent for what it's worth. Now, Cam has been good. So, like, that.
I don't think it's been Cam's fault, but I do think that the continuity, the whole thing, just everyone knowing where everyone's
agreed. And I think communication there, too. Yeah. Like, those guys had a lot of reps together.
But I do also think the type of running plays they're calling are not as dynamic. Like, I do think that without Jalen as an option, without running him, without doing more of the RPO stuff, like, they're not creating. So
the question really comes down to, like, does the running game start to work on carry 14? Like, that's really what you're saying. Like, the first 9 aren't working, but you have to stick with it.
Right? I think you have to do a little bit more than that. Like, I just think 9's not enough. I think you have to mix it.
So how many plays are you willing to throw away?
Well, again, call better runs.
But they can't. They're calling their best runs. It's not like they have good runs.
They're not calling Jalen runs. Like, run Jalen.
Yeah, but Jalen's not the running back.
And
Jalen is not the running game.
Have the threat of Jalen. Have the threat. Like.
But they had the threat.
But they haven't. He has not been a threat to run. Every single team knows he's not run.
But like, there's got to be so let's say they're in the meeting room and they're either saying one of 2 things. One, we don't want to run Jalen.
Well, then
we don't want to run Jalen, or we should not be running Jalen because of this knee thing.
One of the 2.
Right? Let's say that's what you're being told. Like, what are you going to do if you're the coach?
First of all,
neither of us agree.
There's no way that you should not be running. Jalen shouldn't be playing if he can't run because of his knee.
Well, I disagree with that.
No, but you know what I mean. My point is like, I'm sure. I don't think the knee thing is he can't run. I think it's Well,
then why do you think they're not running him? I'm not saying it's not.
I think they're trying to protect him.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but again, I think you gotta run him a little bit. Sorry, man. Like, protect him, but also give him a chance to get out there and do some stuff. Like, you're taking away what's making this offense dynamic, and they've not gotten to a good enough point with their. And that's the other thing. Like with Brian Johnson, and again, I think he's gotten probably too much criticism, but I do think some of it's warranted. Like, it never does feel like he ever gets like, not fair. In the second half, sometimes we've seen it. But it seems very rare that he gets into a rhythm, and the offense feels rhythmic. Like, it's like, and again, it feels like other than Devontae, like 3 plays a game, like guys are never wide open. Like, you look at other offensive time, it's like
stat?
Bang, wide open, bang, wide open. Look at that guy. Oh my God, there's no one near him. Like, that never happens with the
So there's a chart or a graph that went viral this week. And quick side note, I am so bad at reading graphs.
Yeah.
I just am. Never been my strength. I wasn't good at it in high school when we learned about
believe
them.
that.
Yeah, like now I look at them and like basically what I do is I look to see who's around him and like I'm like, all right, well then it must be a good one, right? So there's a graph out that shows like the average point of separation when a quarterback throws at his receiver. And the point of it was Jalen is not throwing to open receivers. The receivers Jalen is targeting have some of the least amount of separation in the NFL.
Yeah.
So to your point, like guys are not open, right?
Yeah.
And I think that leads into like why Jalen's holding on to the ball so much.
I agree.
And I do think Jalen is holding on to the ball.
There's no question.
Right,
He's
but-
sitting back there tapping it.
Right, exactly. Yes.
What am I doing?
And I don't think he doesn't know what he's looking at. Like I think guys
I totally agree.
I think guys are not open. So but like to get back to the Jalen running thing, I guess like I was in the camp this offseason of you can't you gotta just let Jalen be Jalen. You gotta let Jalen be Jalen. But he had the knee sleeve on. Like I don't know. I can't kill them for being like the answer to our running game is to make Jalen carry it like 6 times a game.
Yeah, I do think that's part of it. I think they do need to run it more.
I'm not disagreeing they need to run it more. I'm just saying I don't think they can run the ball.
I'm saying they need to run Jalen more. And yes, look, they have to find a way to run the ball. Then they're screwed if they can't run the ball. Like ultimately, they're gonna have to figure it out. But again, like they ran it well early in the season. You know,
they ran it well like
for like 4 games or whatever.
Yeah,
it was.
and
But
we're
still,
game
like,
12.
They were really good at it. But
they were good against Minnesota and Tampa.
But then they lost Jurgens, and then they lost Goddard. And there've been a bunch of different things that have hindered.
Well, maybe
it.
Goddard is.
And again, look, I do think you're right that I don't look. There's a reason DeAndre Swift was traded.
Yeah.
Away from the Lions. Like I think he's good at some things, but he's not great. He's not like a great running back who's always going to hit the hole and always going to,
I think it probably comes down, if you had to list like the order of things. 1, the offensive line is probably the main culprit in the running game, for just being honest, right? 2, it's probably scheme. It's like a commitment to a run. It's not enough Jalen. And then I think the running backs are last, but the running backs matter.
A part of it. Yeah. I agree. All right. That's enough about the running game. We're not going to get too much.
Well, I'm trying to remember if Dallas is good against the run. I have it written down here. I feel like they're not. 11th in yards per carry, so they're actually not bad.
And they've not been good at running the ball themselves.
They are bad at running the ball.
Yeah.
Correct.
All right, I want to get to Dallas and Shaq. We actually were going to start with Shaq Leonard. Now we're 30 minutes into the pod.
Right.
We didn't. But first, before we get to Shaq Leonard,
well, I'll be curious to
see
who they cut for Shaq Leonard, by the way.
Yeah, I'm intrigued.
Dude, let me tell you, it is. I've said this on the last few pods, but now I think it's officially like the warm weather is gone.
Oh, it's done.
Right? Like it's like frigid outside. I probably should have had gloves and a scarf on if I'm being completely honest.
That's right.
But you know where it'll be kind of warm? Dallas.
Baby.
But here's the thing.
Let's go.
Whether you're warm in Dallas or cold in Philly, and that's a pretty good metaphor for where these teams are at. But what matters is keeping whatever temperature you want inside your house. Winter is here in Philly. The air is getting colder. Your energy bills will be at all times high. And now is the time to replace those windows with 0% interest for 5 years and 50% off all styles of windows. So not only are you getting 0% interest for 5 years, but you're paying half off. You're basically not paying for these windows.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know the set it and forget it phrase?
Yeah.
I feel like this is one of those deals where you get the windows, your house is better, it looks nicer, you have cool new windows, your heat's staying inside. You just set it to auto pay, and I bet you don't even realize you're paying for the windows.
And you're not paying any more than the windows cost. No interest. You're not
exactly.
Losing money on anything.
So now is the time to protect your family from the elements, lower your energy costs, and upgrade the look and feel of your home with Window Nation. Window Nation has been a friend of the pod now, really the whole season. I mean, Window Nation is like part of the family now.
It's been really awesome.
Yes, and like I said, with the winter coming, the interest, 50% off, they always hook up the Go Birds listeners. They always hook up the auto real ones, the downloaders. Save up to 30% on your energy bills. Window Nation has installed nearly 2 million windows with 96% perfection, making them one of the top window companies in the country. Can't imagine anyone's above 96%, unless you do like one window a year. And even then, if you're only doing one window a year, you're probably messing it up. So 96% on 2 million, it's pretty good.
I would say it's good.
It's a good percentage.
Yeah.
So how do you get in contact with them? WindowNation.com, 866-90Nation. That's WindowNation.com, 866-90Nation. Do it now. Do it while you can. Get the specials. Trust them over 200,000 homeowners. And make sure you tell them Go Birds.
There you go. Tell them we sent you. No big deal.
I'd be cool to pull off. Like walk in and be like, hey, by the way.
Hey, Go Birds sent me. No big deal.
It would really seem like you know us.
Oh, yeah.
And you do, but
But it would, to them.
Exactly.
Like,
oh, wow, you know
Pretty
James
cool.
and Elliot.
And that's the thing, is you can save all this money, and you can even budget savings. Because you think about how much you would be spending on interest.
Right.
Like, oh, bang, I just saved that. Oh, bang, I just saved that. Take all of it. Boom. See, and here's what I get.
And look, if you're tailing us on this, you need a lot of money.
Yeah, don't tail us. But here's what I'll tell you. And download the BetParks app, and here's what you can do. There's all kinds of fun stuff. Obviously, you can bet on NFL games. You can bet on basketball. You can bet on player performances, touchdowns, yards. You can bet on rebounds, assists, all that good stuff. There's so many. You can bet on future bets. We love our future bets. Who's going to win
Craig,
awards?
get good odds on the Philly team right now.
Yeah. Will they win it all? You could bet on that. And obviously, we go through every single game on the slate. We'll do that tomorrow. We'll pick every game and all that good stuff. But here's what I'm saying this week. You can do all that stuff. It's fun. You should do it all. You should. You could. Oh, by the way, you can play live casino games. No big deal. Awesome. Real life blackjack. All that stuff. Dealers.
I'm so bad at card games.
Here's what you're doing this week, though. You're taking all that money you save. You're looking at that plus 150 money line in Dallas. As our boys go down to Dallas, and they're winning. Like, they are winning. We're going to get into it. Elliot and I are going to battle because he would not make this bet.
Right.
Make this bet. Put it all. Plus 150. They're a 3.5-point dog. So if you don't have, if you want to be really lame about it,
yeah,
put on
just
the
bet
plus
the money
3.5.
line. Man up and bet
the money line. Throw it on there in the BetParks app, and you're going to be. I'm just going to tell you. I'm letting everyone here know. I'm going to make the biggest bet I've ever made in my life on the Eagles to win in Dallas.
All
right. Now,
how many shekels? 15 shekels?
I'm thinking about betting $50.
Wow.
On the Eagles to win in Dallas.
Right? Yeah.
That's like, you know me. So the largest bet I've ever made is $30 in my life ever. And it was on a Phillies over-under.
Did it hit?
It did.
Okay.
Go Phil.
So you feel confident
2 years ago, yes. Yeah. That's the only time. I've never gone above $30 in my life. I'm going to bet $50 on Philly to win.
Oh, man.
That's how confident I feel.
Okay.
Join me. Download the BetParks app. And here's a great deal. If you're a new user, you make a first bet, all you got to do is $10. $10 winner. You get $125 in sportsbook bonus back. It's a great deal. You must be 21 and present in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Ohio, or Maryland. Gambling problem. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. You ready for that?
All right.
Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah.
All right. We'll get to our Eagles-Dallas battle sec. First, Shaq Leonard. We were going to start with it. We didn't.
No.
Thoughts on the Shaq Leonard?
Look, I think it's a good signing. I think people have been.
It's definitely a why the hell not signing, right?
Right. It's like, people say in baseball, like, it's not my money. It's like, it's not.
This is a classic. It's not my money.
Yeah. So, like, it's just cap space. Bring him in. Why not? Now.
And not much.
By the time people are listening to this, we'll probably know who they cut. I'll be interested to see who it is. Like,
I'll look while you're talking.
Check on the.
Yeah.
So
I think inside baseball, when we started the pod, Elliot was like, Tucker, I need you on this.
Yeah.
It
hasn't happened.
Hasn't happened. There we go. Producer Tucker right there.
That's good.
So my opinion on Shaq Leonard. First, I think people have been too harsh on the linebackers. The linebackers were really bad on Sunday. The linebackers this season have not been that bad. If Zach Cunningham doesn't get hurt.
Zach Cunningham's been really good.
I don't think Shaq Leonard might still be just because N'Kobe's hurt, but like.
Oh, I think they'd bring Shaq. I think Moreau is bad.
Moreau's been good this year.
He's had some moments.
I think you can argue Moreau's been better than Cunningham.
I
this
don't
year.
think that's close.
I
think in terms of consistency and where you're supposed to be and making the right plays at the right times, I think Moreau is significantly worse than Cunningham.
In terms of being in the right places, like I think they've both been pretty good. So I work kind of like mincing.
I think Cunningham's been good. I think Moreau's been.
But the
fine.
point I'm making is the linebackers are going to struggle tackling Christian McCaffrey and Debo in the open field. I underestimated that. I was wrong about that. But like killing the linebackers because they struggled with that personnel, like I think it's a little.
They've been.
It's like being mad at like a fourth grader for failing a seventh grader test.
I think you are turning Morrow into something he hasn't been. He's had a couple good games where he had some tackle or some sacks and a turnover and stuff. But on the whole, as a linebacker, he's been below average for the Eagles.
I think he's been closer to average. But regardless.
And why not? Like, there's no reason not to take a shot on Shaq Leonard.
Yeah.
Like, he might be cooked, but the upside of Shaq Leonard is significantly better than either Morrow or Cunningham.
So you're really not going to like this comparison. But here's how I feel about the Shaq Leonard signing. And to be clear, this is just as a player, not as a person. Shaq Leonard, by all accounts, is an awesome teammate, great leader, great person. I think it's a little bit like when teams used to sign Carson Wentz and be like, well, he was really good in 2017.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, like, so I think Shaq Leonard.
He's had 2 back surgeries.
Exactly.
Like,
That's the point I'm making. Like, I get your point.
He might be cooked,
the upside of him.
The upside of him is still better. Like, if he is healthy.
I just don't know if that upside's there.
But we don't know. Look, he was playing in what he felt was a bad situation in Indy. He wasn't happy about stuff. Like, if he comes here and he's motivated and healthy, like, he could be good. Like,
he could, but it's just like saying Carson could be good.
I think
I don't know. I don't think it's that different.
I think it's,
Shaq's been pretty.
Well, I think it's different in the sense that one's a quarterback and one's an inside linebacker.
Well, I just mean the idea of someone coming back to their potential.
You're not asking nearly as much out of him as you were asking Carson Wentz to be the quarterback of a franchise.
No, well, for sure. But I'm saying for whatever their job is.
I don't think it's apples to apples. I get your point.
Right.
I don't think it's apples to apples, and I'm not expecting Shaq Leonard to be great. I expect Shaq Leonard to be better than Carson Wentz was for Washington or whatever you want to say.
Maybe, yeah. So Shaq Leonard.
That's the one because then he got traded. Like that was like. Right. There were a lot of people who still believed he could play.
So I think the one reason to maybe believe in Shaq Leonard is if the Eagles use him differently than he was in Indianapolis. So I listened. Shio Kapadia made some really good points about like him in coverage. I thought he was good in coverage. Pro Football Focus says he's good in coverage. I trust Shio's opinion. He's on with you guys quite a bit. He says he's not good in coverage. So I'll be curious to see how he is. I do think like if you're going to ask him to play coverage, you're just banking on him having good instincts. Like, I don't think he's someone that is going to, like, stick with people down the field. I think he's not the athlete he used to be. I think a lot of what he does now is based off instincts.
2 back surgeries, man.
Yeah,
I mean, tough.
Exactly. Right. So I think, like, the hope with him is you put him in zone, you hope he makes the right reads because he's a good football mind, and he makes plays. That's the hope.
And look, they've not been great in the running game, as good as earlier in the season either. Like, and I do think he could help there, you know.
So you made this point, and I think it's a fair one. Like, the Colts are a bad organization, right? We've seen that. So they might not know what they're doing. But
they got a good head coach.
But they do. And like defense, like Gus Bradley's our defense.
That was the biggest loss, by the way. The Isaac Seumalo was a big loss. The biggest loss of the offseason was Shane Steichen.
I don't know.
Without a doubt. That dude, have you watched much Colts? He is creative. He does.
I think we're doing a lot of what we did with Frank Reich. Okay, we'll find out.
I think Shane Steichen is, and again, I'm not saying Brian Johnson can't turn into that.
Yeah.
I just think Brian Johnson is nowhere close to what Steichen was last year.
I don't know if
not
that's
even
true.
the same hemisphere.
Yeah, I think that's an overreaction. Look, we'll
I
find out.
I mean, look, the offense looked way better last year, didn't it?
Well, they played easier teams. To your point,
sure, that's part of it.
Yeah. So and the stats
I think Brian Johnson is not as good. It makes sense. Like he hasn't been doing it as long. Like,
yeah.
I think Shane Steichen last year was a much better play call than Brian Johnson has been this year. I think that's a fair thing to say.
Yeah, I don't think that's
a head coach job.
Yeah,
he's been great in Indy. He's got them at 7-5. That team stinks.
Shane's awesome. I agree with that. Yeah. Shane is very good.
Again, this is not. I think it was more that I think we underrated.
The point about your experience.
How great Shane Steichen.
The point about your experience is a good one.
Yeah.
So now the Colts defensive coordinator Gus Bradley is like an experienced coordinator, been around the league a long time. Like. They wanted nothing. They did not want him on the field.
Yep.
He was not on third down. He was unhappy he wasn't playing a lot. They were going to make him inactive. Like, he was done there. Now, they could be wrong, for sure. Like, all the time players get cut in the NFL and another team picks them up and they're awesome. So they could definitely be wrong.
Again, look, I'm not expecting him to be great. I
think it's about expectations.
I'm hoping for
It's
average.
a roll of the dice. It's
I'm hoping for average, but I think it's a smart roll. There's no reason
I would have
to roll
signed
the dice.
him.
Yeah.
I 100% would have signed him. I'd put him out there. I'd give him a chance. I'd see what you can do. Like, Nick knows him. I think he's good for the locker room. I'm a little worried. Like, I wonder what they told him. Because if he wasn't playing a ton in Indy, like, who knows what he's expecting here. But I think it's a smart roll of the dice. It's just a roster spot. Just like, and maybe, again, we'll know soon. But like, just cut Rashad Penny. Or, like, cut somebody that's not playing and put him on practice squad.
Rashad Penny's the rope-a-dope. They're just waiting on the
exactly.
Yes.
Him. Yeah, in the playoffs,
4
touchdowns against the Niners.
Quickly, before we get to Dallas, because I do want to get to Dallas, but since we're on the Shaq thing with Ertz and Sue, both have been connected to the Eagles
I don't
recently.
get the Sue thing.
I mean, they have been beat up a little bit, and it's more just tired, but it's an extra rotation.
Who are you taking snaps from?
Topo, whatever his name is. I can't say
Tuipulotu?
Thank you, him.
I guess, but you also have
Right?
Milton Williams, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Fletcher Cox. Like, I know Sue can play along the line.
I don't think you can have enough ever.
I wonder if you can put Sue on the outside.
I think you have enough ever. Sue's a good player. Why not take him? But I agree. I don't think it's a need in the
Can
same
I give
way.
you a old man take?
Sure.
I don't love that he just sits around all season and signs like in week 14.
I think it's super smart.
I'm not saying it's not smart.
But it's smart. What do we care about? Like, if it's what Roger Clemens
I don't know. If I was in that locker room, I'd be like, where you been, bro? Like we're out here running this gauntlet. We're getting our record up, and you're just going to come along for the ride for, like, the 3 easiest games of the year?
I feel pretty confident the people in the locker room are like, sweet, let's win games.
I'm just saying how I feel about it.
I get it.
I don't love the whole.
I get it. He's
sitting
36.
out training camp is one thing.
He's 36. It doesn't bother me that much. I get your point, but it doesn't bother me.
I think it's like front runner.
In a way, it is, but it's also that
it's also ring chasing, which whatever. But
I don't care. I would chase rings if I were an older player, and I could.
I
have no problem with ring chasing. Zero.
I don't have a problem with ring chasing if you're there all year, like sitting around and seeing who's good and then jumping on the bus at the last second.
Again, like I think Sue only has a certain amount of games left in him. Like, why would you waste games that don't matter as much? You're waiting to play in the biggest games.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem with it, and I would sign him. But I think Ertz, I would probably take Ertz over him.
I would definitely take Ertz over him.
It's close. I know it's not for you.
Dude, their backup tight ends are not good.
Oh, I would sign Ertz today.
Yeah.
I would sign Ertz. Zach Ertz,
what do you think's going on with Ertz?
I think he's probably looking at. I think he'd go to somewhere like Baltimore probably and play every down.
Have you seen
the vast majority of downs.
Have you seen the quotes out of Baltimore and San Francisco?
No, what'd they say?
They're both basically like, we're not signing him.
Well, San Francisco, I would have never. He's not going to play with Kittle. Like, Kittle can get hurt, I guess. But
I don't disagree, but San Francisco, Baltimore basically said they're out on him too.
Wow, that's a surprise because Isaiah Likely is not special. I know they like him, but
my read on this, I wonder if like
he doesn't want to come here.
No, I wonder if like nobody wants him. I just think if you ask to be released, like you should be on a team by now.
True, but he could be looking around. Like it's like
looking around at what? Like Baltimore doesn't want him. He's been in Philly.
Well, there might be other options. I mean,
maybe he's not visiting anywhere.
So you think no one's offered him a contract and he's just not taking?
I'm wondering if the
it's
interest.
Not the fact that he's got 4 teams and he's trying to sign
No.
to do.
My read on it from afar is he doesn't have the options that maybe we think he does.
He might not. I have no idea.
Just my read. I would sign him. I think he'd be a good pickup.
Yeah,
I'm just.
Way.
It doesn't feel to me like it's a bidding war.
No, and look, Dallas Goedert didn't seem enthused about the idea.
Well, that too. Like, did not seem enthused at all about it.
Get over it, Dallas. All right, let's get to Dallas.
Yeah.
Not Goddard. Who will be playing this thing?
Yeah, sounds like it.
So,
all right, I'm just got to be honest.
Just saying. You think they're going to lose? Not just that. You feel
I think
confident
that
they're going to lose.
I have the same feeling I had before the Super Bowl.
Well, that's great. When
that they lost.
We're traveling to Dallas. I will be in the stadium for this game, and you're going to pick the Cowboys.
Dude, I don't know. I can't lie. I can't lie. I know, but I have to be honest.
This is a disgrace on this.
But you have to understand where this is coming from. And I know you don't like this point.
Disgrace.
Dude, man, like, they are so good in Dallas. They are. Like, I don't know what you want me to say.
Dallas is so good in Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas is so good.
They've won 14 straight there.
Yes, and if you look
Can you think of a person who could come to the stadium and end that streak?
I know,
more
but
than Dallas sucks, guy. Come on.
I agree, and like the vibes will be high. And
I told Nick when I talked to him this week, I was like, Nick, I'm gonna be there, man. I'm like, my voice will cut through the crowd. He's like,
what did he say?
Love it, James.
He's like,
and
I'm
then
sure
I told
it will.
Kelsey today, and he got earmuffs under there. I told Kelsey, he goes, fuck yeah.
There we go.
Just saying.
Look,
the boys know.
The
boys know.
It's possible they win the game. But I think this Dallas team is so engineered to just run all over. Like, not physically run, but like just like run through them. I know you don't put a lot in, but
I just think they're overrated.
All right, hold on. Give me 30 seconds. Sure. Okay. So you have to understand my opinion, like where I'm coming from with this. Every single time I'm in that stadium, I watch them get boat raced.
Yeah.
Every time.
I get it.
Right? Dallas in that stadium.
You just feel like they can't.
They're averaging 41 points at home. They've never been under 30 at home. I think they've been over 38 in 5 of their 6 games. Their average margin of victory there is like 2+ touchdowns. By the way, this is why all stadiums should be a dome, because I think Dallas is meant for a dome. What Dallas is really good at is the exact problem for the Eagles. Now, Roby's back, which could help against CeeDee Lamb. They didn't have him last time. But Dallas is number 2 in the league on third down offense. The Eagles are the worst on third down offense. I just think Dallas is going to move up and down the field on this team all day. And so it really comes down to, do I think the Eagles can get in the 30s? Yeah, I think they could. But it just feels like such a stone cold loss to me.
Who has a better offense, Dallas or the Eagles or Seattle?
The Eagles.
Right. Seattle just put up 35 points there.
They did.
The teams other than Seattle that they have faced at home, the Giants.
Yes.
The Rams.
Yes.
The Patriots.
Yes.
The Jets. Washington.
Right.
The same argument I made for Dallas the whole time. They've beaten. Technically, I guess when they beat Seattle was 6-5. They're now 6-6.
Right.
There's not a win on their schedule that's over a team over 500.
It's fair. But those aren't the last 14 games. For what it's worth. You said they won their last 14. Dak's something like 19. All right, so in his career.
But what happened first of all, I don't care what happened last year. Also, the Eagles almost beat them there with Gardner Minshew. It was a 6-point game.
They did.
With Gardner
They did
Minshew,
almost beat
with Gardner.
But they didn't. Now,
no, I know, but I'm saying they almost beat him with Gardner.
Right,
Like, so you're telling me Jalen can't win there?
No, I'm not saying they're definitely going to lose. So Dak at home.
I heard it. You said definitely.
Dak at home in his career, 41-15, 105 passer rating, 114 passing touchdowns, 34 interceptions. Dak on the road, 29-24, 92.
He's much better.
He's much better at home. So like, and also, like, this is a game Dallas wins. You know, like, this is not a playoff game. It's like this feels like a very classic Dallas win. And also, the Eagles are not playing well right now. They're just not. And to your point about the tired thing, like, I don't see how you can think they're tired and not feel that's going to impact them in this game. I don't, but like, if everyone's
I think they're in the
it's
middle
the end of the gauntlet.
Yeah,
or it's Seattle, I guess, technically.
I think they'll be more tired than if they had played them than the first time they played them. But they're coming off 59 defensive snaps. They're coming like they didn't play as long or as hard.
I get that.
And
yeah.
also the last quarter, I know they were playing, but like that game was over. They knew it on the field. It's not like they're going max effort. They basically played 3 quarters.
Right. So I think Dallas has a better defense than the Eagles.
Probably.
I think definitely, but okay.
Do they have a better defensive line?
Honestly, the defensive line is much closer than you would think.
Isn't that how you? But again,
yeah. Well, I'm just saying it is.
Again,
It is. I'm
thing.
being honest.
2 weeks ago, 1 week before,
Right.
one game where they're coming off the most snaps they played in a decade or whatever defensively, or more than that for the team.
Right.
Like you came into the Niners game saying, I think the Eagles might have the best defensive line in football.
They
you
might.
said that coming into the
And
Niners game, and then one game you're saying this?
No.
This is crazy.
But Dallas's defensive line is really good. Like I'm not saying like the Giants' defensive line. Dallas has more sacks this year than the Eagles.
1 week ago, you said they had the best defensive line.
I think they
football.
might. They might. But I'm saying I think
but
Dallas.
You said they're not as good as Dallas. You just said that.
But I also might have overrated their defensive line for what it's worth.
One game.
No, not off of one game. But like, what I'm saying is Dallas. All I'm saying is Dallas already is a good defensive line too. They do. So I think Dallas. Who has a better defense?
Probably Dallas.
Okay. Who has a better offense?
The Eagles.
You think so?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do.
All right. I just
I
do.
think the Eagles are just a better team. I think they're a better all-around team.
I
and
agree,
better
but
coaching.
Mr. Ebbs and flows,
they just
the
lost.
ebbs are not flowing for the Eagles right now.
They lost last week.
No, but it's not just that. They didn't play great against Buffalo. Like They
won 37-34.
Yeah,
against
they gave
Buffalo.
up 34 points
They had a
and
bad
could have
half.
lost in overtime. Like
Sure, but they scored 37 points.
I do not think they're winning this game.
I know you don't. I can tell. I
Yeah.
think they are. It's very clear.
Just-
You've said this so many times.
This would be such an incredibly impressive win for me.
They've lost 3 games in the last 2 years, and you're like, well, they're going to lose 2 in a row. Like, doesn't that seem silly to you?
Well, I thought they'd beat San Francisco. So, like,
Right, but then when they didn't, shouldn't you be like, all right, well, they're not going to lose 2 in a row because that would never happen in this group.
It could. I think it's going to happen.
You do think it's going to happen.
I think
that's silly.
In my experience covering the team, I think going to Dallas is the single hardest game they can play. Just I can't ignore my gut feeling on this. When they go to Dallas, they struggle. And Dallas is, you can say the opponents, whatever, but they have all-time confidence right now. I think the Eagles are like a little bit rattled by this. Like I think Dak is going to pick this defense apart. And I'm not confident in the offense's ability to win a shootout right now.
Look, I get it, but I think that you have just reacted to, and I know you're saying it's stuff before, but if they had beaten the Niners, like,
well, if they would have beaten the Niners, I'd probably feel a little different.
You would, but again,
but
it's
they
just
did not
one
beat the Niners.
Game, though, like it's
but
we're talking about one game in a horrible spot.
I'm saying what San Francisco did for me was make me look on a broader picture of how they've been playing. But when they were winning and everything, I was willing to sit here and I believed in it of like they're winning, who cares? They're winning. The loss to me made me sit back and look on a broader scale. I agree. Your point about the opponents on home is a good one. It's a good one. Dallas is playing better than the Eagles right now. In my opinion, I think Dallas is playing better than the Eagles, which is why I do not think they're going to win.
I get it. I think Dallas is looks better because they're playing worse competition. That's what I think.
That definitely could be.
Yeah.
But I think Dallas, and they have the 10 days, the
10 days matters. I don't love that. And
I think Dak, too. I think we're underestimating Dak. Dak has been really good this year.
Yeah, he's been solid.
No. I think he's been closer to a top 5 quarterback than you want.
I go back to the same thing. Who has Dak played? What defense? You're like, wow, I can't believe you did that against that defense. Give me one of them. Just one.
I don't
I'll
disagree.
Wait for one.
I don't disagree
just
with
give me one
you.
defense.
I'd have to look at their schedule.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't disagree that he hasn't he's not beaten the
anybody.
gauntlet that Jalen has, and Jalen is better than Dak.
And they're
I'm
10
just saying,
and 2.
Dak is more than okay.
Dak's fine. Yeah, Dak's good. He's like the 3rd best quarterback in the NFC.
Oh my God.
He is. Would you say Brock Purdy's better? I think Brock.
No,
Purdy's
I agree, but you're
he's the 3rd best quarterback.
Where would you put him in the NFL?
I don't know, like 9th.
Okay,
eighth.
let's do it.
Yeah, like okay,
So Mahomes, Jalen,
Burrow.
in some order.
In
Well,
some
Burrow,
order.
for what it's worth, not playing right now.
Are we doing like overall? Or are we doing right this second? Because then
That's
there's
fair.
a lot of guys
That's fair.
injured. I'm
That's
just
fair.
saying. Like, when I said I would put Dak
let's
higher.
put Burrow. Let's put Burrow.
Okay, so Burrow. I think here. It's easier to look at the.
So we didn't say
Purdy.
We didn't say
Purdy's above
So we're at
him.
4 then.
Mahomes. I mean, like Herbert is a question mark. I don't know. I would be close on that one. I think most
All right,
people
let's
would put
put
him
that
at
now
Dak.
for 5.
Hold on. Let's look at. Who are we forgetting? I mean, Tua,
Josh
I
Allen's
probably
an
would not.
interesting one.
Josh Allen's above him
Okay,
for sure. I would
6.
put Josh. I don't think I
Josh
put
Allen
Tua.
turns the ball over a lot.
He does, but I would still take him over Dak personally. I mean,
Yeah.
that's my rankings. You can change.
I probably would too.
Tua, I don't think I would put over Dak, but he's in there. Lamar, I would put over Dak.
We're
So
8.
8. Yeah, so
Okay.
I said 9.
So, but yeah,
I said
but like
8 or 9 is what I said.
Right,
I said
and-
I'm at 8 or 9.
I think he's more like 4 or 5.
We just see who would you put him over then?
So
You guys
I
said-
think
okay,
I think
maybe Herbert.
I think Herbert. There's a case.
That's fine.
And for what it's worth, Burrow not playing right now.
That's fine. I wouldn't have said 8 or 9 if I
Okay,
wasn't including Burrow.
we
so
we
7
thought
or 8
Tua
then.
we thought Tua was up in the air. So now all of a sudden
Tua,
we're
I
at
didn't
5.
even count Tua.
Yeah, we did. I counted them. Maybe you did. So we're at 7 then if we didn't count Tua, not 8. So if you take 2 away, we're at 4, 5.
What? That was some weird math.
Yeah, I don't know. I have him around 5, 6, 7. You have him around.
That's fine with,
you have him around.
Burrow out. I probably have him 7. I said so. Maybe
And at
6.
home,
we're barely splitting hairs there. We
so
both think
here's
top,
another my
whatever.
concern. I agree the Cowboys are front runners. I'm worried this is a game that gets out of hand.
Really? Wow, I can't believe that. So you think the Eagles are going to get blown out 2 weeks in a row? That's what
I think there's
hold
a
up,
chance.
this one
Yes.
That's
I
what
think
you're
there's
saying.
a
You
chance.
think
I haven't
the Eagles
picked a
are
score yet, but I'm saying I think there's a chance.
That's crazy to me, man. With
Dude,
what
they've
we've
been
seen of this
underdogs in 3 of the last 4 games.
Whatever, man.
We did this last week with the whole like it's disrespectful. They're better. Everybody is telling us Dallas is better than the Eagles.
No, everyone is telling us that the Dallas is going to win this game.
Correct.
Is what you're saying.
Yes.
And again, whatever. They weren't like the
But
Eagles
I fought back
Eagles
on this
were
last
underdogs
week.
in Kansas City, and they won. Like,
Yeah. Again, they were outplayed for the majority of that game, but regardless, they won. They won. This feels like it has disaster written all over it. To me, that's my gut feeling.
I think that is a way overreaction. To a
It
lot
could
of
be.
things.
I could be wrong. Look, I hope we're doing the post game pod and you have a good buzz on and you're happy and you're yelling Dallas sucks and your voice is sore. Like that's what I hope. But I am a little worried that this is like gonna be ugly.
All right, scaredy Shorr-Parks. I get it.
It's fine.
Okay.
I've been scared before. I'll be scared again.
All right, let's get to final thoughts. First,
Oh yeah, what's this CJ news?
it turns out that CJ is not his name. It's
What?
AK. And the very first time he called in, they got it wrong on the board.
And he's just been going by
And He has
CJ.
just gone with CJ this whole time. His Twitter handle CJ in Texas. He is AK in Texas. Our guy CJ
Wow,
is AK.
that is stunning.
Right? Stunning. I said
is
stunning
stunning.
news. Right? So
So,
we're hopefully going to see him down there. Shout out to
oh, is he
AK.
coming? I haven't heard. I haven't
believe
heard
so.
from him.
So I'm a big believer.
Did he call in? Like, how'd you get this information?
I was talking to him because he was talking about trying to meet up with us in Dallas.
Yeah,
He called
yeah.
the station. We were talking. He's like, I got to tell you something. So I know.
So what do we call when we see him?
Well, so this is the whole thing because I'm a big like. We'll have a lot of people. It's like, all right, let's take an example. Tom and Abington, one of, our go-to
Right.
leadoff caller, whatever. Like he is Tom and Abington forever. Even if he moves to Timbuktu,
Agreed. For sure. Yep.
he's Tom and Abington.
Agreed. Justin from Tennessee.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
Tom from Vancouver.
But this is not his name. That's what I would argue. He's like if he was like, I moved up here. I'm now CJ in Philly. It's like, no, you're not. You're CJ in Texas in Philly. I don't know what to do here though because he's CJ in Texas on the show, but his name's AK.
So I'm curious what the initials are. Like what the
I don't know anything past this. It was a quick conversation.
AK is
I was
not a
doing my
name
job.
you hear often.
No, but it's like I think. Well, either way, CJ. I'm sure he's like Andrew, whatever.
That's what I'm
or-
asking,
Or
like,
he's
what's
Christopher
the-
John, whatever.
Right,
you know.
yeah.
But the point
I'm
is,
saying
he
you don't hear a
tried
lot
to
of
say
AKs.
AK.
Yeah, you don't hear a
and
lot
it
of
came
AKs.
out as CJ. So this is something we just got to.
All right, here's my official ruling
Yes.
on it. I think he's CJ.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I just.
It is what it is.
But it's also.
It's not like his name is like
It's his name,
Oliver and
though.
we're calling like it's very close already.
But it's not. It's not.
It's
not
close enough.
it.
It's 2 initials
I don't know. We'll
or
talk
2
about it.
letters or whatever.
Let everyone let us know what you think about it. What's his
All right,
name?
I have a final thought.
I'm proud of you, buddy.
Thank you.
You were responding to the call to not be so lame with your final thoughts.
Okay, so I have one that's a question
Ooh.
and one that's like more of like a vent thought.
Good.
Which
I
I think the question one's pretty interesting.
Good.
Which do you want?
Yeah, go for
Question?
the question first.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So someone asked me this week at a party, and I think I've been thinking about it a lot. So let's say you could have, so whenever you meet somebody, so you walk into a party, you walk into work, wherever, there's a bunch of people around, and there is a number above their head. only you can see the number. So like, let's say it's 7, 8, whatever. There's a floating number above their head. They don't know it's there. You only know it. What would you want that number to represent?
Okay, but hold on. So does everyone have their own number system? Is that the idea, or is it just me?
So it's just you. So like,
so you're saying if I could look like, so it could be 1 through 10, and it could be a rating.
It could be whatever.
You're saying you could rate their looks, you could rate their this,
or
you
it could
rate
be
their that.
information. Like it could be like, you know,
A
their salary. Like it just has to be numerical, and it could be.
So you're saying I could rank them based on anything and find out.
But you're viewing it as ranking, or it could be informative. Is the point I'm making?
No. But yes, but the numbers are ranking the information. Is my point. Like,
No. Like let's say I decided the number to be how many kids they have. So if I walk in a room, I'd be like, you have 1 kid. Tucker has a
Okay, I was thinking of it more as a 1
exactly.
through 10.
I'm saying
I got you.
Because the ranking is more like your own opinion. This is more.
No. I was thinking more like, so if I wanted to look at them and be like, by how nice a human they are on a 1 to 10 scale.
I get your point. That seems
That's
a little
what I was trying to think
too
of.
subjective.
So what? So you're saying more? It has to be a number. So like their age.
Exactly. It has to be a piece of
information.
information.
Very different thing.
So
that is a number.
So
it's
number.
not a scale. It's that number.
Correct.
Okay, this is a great question.
So it can be like there's all types. Like I said, salary, number of kids, like how many cities they've lived in, like how often they've moved. So I think I know what mine.
So first and foremost, none of these are really jumping out because I feel like this is all just general stuff that you can't really judge someone by. I guess salary.
No, those things you can't. Salary's an interesting
would be
one.
Interesting just because I would be interested.
Exactly.
I think that would be more.
Or
of
would
a,
it be
a
infuriating?
type
Like
of
you
thing.
walk in the room and it's like, you're kidding me. This person makes
I mean,
this.
it could be informative though. I could be like, hey, that guy makes that and I make that. That's
Yeah,
unfair.
agreed. Right.
How do you know that? How do I know that?
And it's
Guess what?
also
I do
like,
know.
let's say you're out to dinner with a bunch of people and you see like, wow, this person doesn't make as much as I thought. Like, I'll cover the bill. You know, or like, or wow, you make way more than I thought. Like, yeah, you can definitely pay.
I think it'd be interesting, but I don't think it like. I'm trying to hear what is yours?
Okay, ready for mine?
Yeah.
You're not gonna like this one, Tucker. You're welcome to chime in on this because I think this is more up your speed. Okay, I would like to know how many times someone has looked at my Instagram page.
Yeah, that's not gonna do anything for me.
What do you think of that one?
I do like that.
Right? It's how often they how often they check your stuff out.
Like how often they think of
exactly.
You understand the vast majority of people will be zero. You're all right with when you walk in.
No. Oh yeah, agreed.
The
yes.
vast majority of people you meet do not check your Instagram.
Would be,
page.
but then it would also be like, oh, I don't like you've looked at my Instagram. I don't know you. Like I would know if you knew me.
I get it.
Number
this is
one.
I was thinking much more in an altruistic way of like knowing who a good person is or knowing a.
Yeah, but you can't really quantify that.
I was trying to find a way to.
Well, you could do like I don't. And again, I don't know if this makes someone a bad person.
How much money do
like,
you give to charity a year or something like that?
That'd be a good one. I think that's
like
tied
that.
to salary in a way.
It can be right. Or
yeah.
then, how about this? What percentage of your salary do you give to charity every year?
Number
is the percent.
That's good.
3,
yeah.
10.
I just think for the majority of people we're around, like it would, the majority would be like 102.
Well, we don't make enough money.
That's what I mean. So
I know.
I think the Instagram thing is a good way of finding out like who knows you, who cares about you.
Yeah, the Instagram thing would do nothing for me, obviously.
I think it'd be a little more interesting than you think.
Imagine
we're on the Go Birds flight on Dallas, right?
Instagram.
I know you. Well, yes, I know. So for you specifically, but I'm saying the point of it is, I would walk into like a bar and be like, wow, a lot of people here have seen my Instagram. Or like I'd walk in and be like, wow, nobody here knows who I am.
This answer feels
or
very
let's
haughty.
imagine you were single and you were like, you know, like
I'm
you were
not,
on it. I know you're not, but I'm just for the broader audience. You're on a date and it's like the second date and you're like, wow, she's looked at my Instagram like 45 times. I think it's a good one, right?
I think it's great.
Yeah.
Sure, I believe you. I'm just saying this does nothing. It feels very haughty to me.
Well, the whole thing, like, what answer?
Any other answer?
Babe,
is
you
haughty.
want
the point is, you're saying that I could put a number on someone and know something about them, but instead, what you're doing is you're putting a number on them to know about them about you.
Yeah, I'm using it.
So I'm saying that is haughty.
I'm using it to like help myself.
Yeah, it is haughty.
So what would you pick?
Very self-indulgent.
What would
or
you
whatever
pick?
you want to say. Well, I don't know.
I think it's helpful as well because I know who knows me.
It is haughty though. You can't argue that. It is
I mean,
self-indulgent. You could have
it's
picked any other
self-indulgent,
number that would have nothing to do with you, and you picked the one of the few numbers that could have something to do with you.
But
that's haughty.
But I think the whole point is
it's all about you.
Right.
Is the point.
Well,
yeah.
Well, it's my number. I'm the only person that can see it. All right, go ahead. So what would you pick?
I still don't know.
Be careful here. You don't want to be too haughty.
No, I wasn't going on. That's the whole point. Like I'm trying to think of like I see the whole when you first asked the question. I don't know what the right answer is. Maybe I have to think about this and I'll come back on. But what the way my brain is wrapping around it is it a way to tell who like in some way how good a person they are.
I just think it's too subjective.
I get it, but again, like, but maybe there is a way. That's what
Yeah.
But if nothing else, it's more in my mind. I'm looking at it strictly to find out about that person with no relation to me. Like, it has nothing to do with me, which is where.
Yeah. I just think it.
And I'm not saying yours is. I think yours is smart for that reason.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's not the way my brain wrapped around it. I didn't at all think about how it could relate back to me.
I'd be curious to know what you could think of that would like give you if they're.
I'm trying to think about it. I'm working.
The charity one's an interesting one.
We'll think about it. I'm gonna come back. All right. So what's your other final thought?
Okay. You know what's like earmuffs? Well, actually, no earmuffs. You know what's bullshit?
I love that you don't think shit is a curse. It is so funny.
You know what's like the most ridiculous thing?
Things like heck or hell is a curse, practically.
I just don't think it's like a prime curse word. But whatever.
Yeah. What was the one we fought over? Ass. You thought ass was a curse.
Ass is way more of a curse word than shit is. It's not even close.
No, because you can say ass
I
on
know.
TV.
That's the whole point.
I don't
And
care.
on radio.
I'm just saying ass is a top 3 curse word and shit is not. But regardless, like it's like the apple of curse words. Like it's like what you think of besides the F word and the B word. F, B, and A word. Those are the 3 main curses.
Okay, sure.
But regardless.
B, bitch? Are you serious? That's not barely a curse.
Are
Ass
you
and
out of
bitch-
your mind?
Ass and bitch.
All right, we
are
should
like,
really stop with
But they're not. You could see. Hold up. Here, real quick. If this were a radio show and not a podcast, I could say ass and bitch. I
get
couldn't
that.
say shit.
It does not matter to me.
But you can't call somebody a bitch, right?
You can't say they are a bitch. You can say I'm bitching. I'm
Right.
whatever. Yes.
Yeah, but that's a different use of the word.
Regardless, the point is, I don't think they are high-level curse words. Like
I think they are the
C
highest
word.
level.
Okay, so that's more than the
So
C
to
word?
me, the C word is more of like I can't think of the right word. It's not a curse word. It's like a name. It's like a why can't I think of it? You know what I mean? Like it's like a name you call somebody. It's not a curse word. It's like an insult or like
They're curse words.
a slur. Maybe would be what I'm looking for.
Okay.
But okay, regardless. So I think it's so ridiculous that banks charge a ton of money to deposit checks the same day when you know they can do it, but if you do it the next day, it's free.
So you're.
Yeah, I know. This is you, not again.
I don't know anything about this.
Okay.
So talk to me.
So
'Cause Emily, for those
I
who
went
don't
to
know,
deposit a check.
Emily does all this stuff
Right.
for me. I have an over 800 credit score. It's great.
Right,
I let her do everything.
So
All right,
I
go
went to deposit a check yesterday, and it wanted $28 to
ahead.
deposit
Real quick.
it.
Emily does them all on the phone.
Yeah, that's what I
Why don't
mean,
you do-
on my phone.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So, yeah, I wasn't like in a bank.
I have to make sure. It sounded like he was at a
Yeah.
bank, didn't he? Thank you,
Yeah.
Tucker.
Well, I think maybe
You said I went to deposit a check. It makes it feel like you went somewhere.
True.
Go ahead.
that might be our antiquated way of viewing a check, but regardless. Like,
I'm 42, buddy. All
yeah,
right,
well,
give
it's,
me a break here.
yeah. So they wanted $28 to deposit it that day.
What?
But it was free if I waited till today.
that doesn't make any sense. That's crazy.
It's ridiculous. Like, you know they can do it.
That is
Look,
actually
if it was
ridiculous.
$2, then I could maybe be like, all right,
I think it's
there's like
ridiculous, period. It's your
fees
bank.
and
Just-
so I think it should be free.
Yeah, just
but if
do
it
a
was
check.
$2, I'd be like, maybe there's some type of fee I don't know about, like whatever. $28?
That is insane.
ridiculous.
I agree. It's a
Thank you.
great take by you.
Thank you.
I didn't know about it till now, but I'm furious about it.
Yeah, well, I'm sure Emily never does it, and I didn't do it. I
Emily will
waited.
never- yeah.
I waited, but it was
Yeah.
like, why? Like, what's the point? Anyway, really
Okay.
grinding my gears.
All right, so I have a bunch of thoughts on Goodfellas because I just rewatched Goodfellas.
This might be, yeah.
I'm gonna save it for tomorrow because we're like an hour in, so I'll save it for tomorrow. So I have, I will go with a different final thought, and I feel pretty strongly about it. I'm calling for a ban,
Okay.
banning him.
A person?
No, a thing.
Okay.
Fortune cookies. Done.
Wow.
Ban them.
Hard
Ban
disagree.
'em.
Hard disagree.
Okay.
Hard
Okay. So ready?
disagree.
I actually brought in a prop.
You have a fortune,
I do.
I'm guessing.
So, because first and foremost, they are no longer fortunes.
Agree
They
with
are
that.
statements or whatever. There's no fortunes.
Agree.
involved.
I agree with that.
A. B. The cookie itself is trash. We all just eat it because it's part of the. Oh, I love fortune cookie. No one actually loves fortune cookie. It's what
Trash is hard. Just
Okay,
is
it's
hard.
cardboard. Whatever you want to call it.
I think it's it's
Okay.
not a cookie.
And
really.
then this is where we're at with. So not only is this not a fortune, you can't even get the phrase right. This is a fortune that I got. Ready?
Okay, you are really
Ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Actions speak louder than talks.
Yeah, it's a bad one. It's a bad one.
Actions speak louder than talks.
It's a bad
We're
one.
done. We've jumped the shark. They don't even give us fortunes anymore. Ban them.
So,
done. Out with fortune
I-
cookies. Don't give me any. I don't want any. And I think they should be banned. I think they
So-
should be out.
So I think what you really mean is
Actions
here.
speak louder than
I think
talks.
you need the. It's bad.
Can you
it's
see
bad.
that there? Actions
bad.
speak louder than talks.
They messed that one up.
There
They
we
still
go. Can you
can't
see
see
that?
it. No
That
one's
is-
gonna be able
that
to
is a
read
real
this.
thing that
Yeah.
happened. Okay, go ahead.
They need to. What you're saying is like we need some more regulation on the fortune cookie. Like, you don't have to
But
get
I'm
rid
past
of it,
I'm past it. We've talked about this for too long. Like, no, I'm done with it.
I
Get
think
rid of it.
but I think they're like kind of a staple of like Chinese food.
Exactly, until they're not.
But they need to be better. I'm not disagreeing with you on that. Like, that's a bad one. They're not fortunes. I'm not disagreeing with you on that. Like, I think like they just need to be better.
Yeah,
I'm not banning fortune cookies.
No, I'm banning them.
Well,
I'm done with them. I've tried.
I got news for you, buddy. I don't think they're going anywhere.
I'm just saying, like, if that's the trash we're gonna get, throw 'em in
It was a bad one.
Yeah. Dumb. Actions speak louder than talks.
You know, it's funny how one Eagles game, you're not throwing it away, but one fortune cookie, and you're ready to get rid of.
No, this has long been. I've long said they're not fortunes. They're
not fortunes.
This is the end of my rope.
Yeah,
this is something I've probably brought this up in the past before. Like,
right. I've never heard this from
This
you.
has been years of being upset with fortune cookies for not being fortunes. Blah blah blah.
They're not fortunes. I agree.
And they're not.
Yeah, they're not fortunes.
So
Very few. But it would be impossible.
No, zero.
Yeah, you're right. But it would be
zero.
impossible to give a true fortune because you don't know who's getting
true,
you don't know who's
but
getting the
that's
cookie.
Whole point. That was
Right.
the whole point. And that's the point. Is your fortune is decided by the cookie you get.
I wonder how they started. I'd be curious to. You know what?
As fortunes, like
I'd be interested in a documentary.
Meet a new friend. You will, come into a set of lucky circumstances.
But those aren't real fortunes anyway.
But
like,
they are at least
they're predictions or they're something to
a
look for.
fortune.
Right.
Exactly. Whereas this is a statement wrong.
You know what?
Actions speak louder than words.
I need like some takes in these fortune cookies.
Sure, that'd be better than actions speak louder than talks.
Could you imagine how shook you would be if you opened a fortune cookie and it said the Eagles are losing to Dallas?
That's actually a great.
Would
comment.
you change your
Like,
mind
up
if
to
you
the
got a
date-
fortune cookie
well,
that said the Eagles are losing to Dallas? Would you change your prediction?
I mean, really, no, I would think that someone was your most wanted to be fucking with me.
Well, again, that's curse word
yes.
number one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's up there.
Yeah. I mean, it is number one. It is that is the definitive apple of curse words.
I still can't believe you think shit is less of a curse word than ass. It's crazy to me.
It's not even close.
Again, one you can say on the radio, one you can't. So
I don't care.
I know you don't. All right, we got anything else?
No,
This was a long one.
it was. Well, there's a lot going on with the team.
There is. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. Bet Parks Picks Pod. And then Friday morning, I didn't hit the table. I was about to
You
screw it. I
hit
did
it already.
We're
quite a
going to
bit.
Dallas.
Yeah.
If you're coming with us, we freaking can't wait. We've been talking about it for so long. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have some fun. Some more on that tomorrow. Bet Picks Parks Pod. Until then.